News 2 weeks ago that the court's illegal. Clearly, there is an illegal, unconstitutional gag order here. Why do you think that's true? I mean, do you think any defendant should be able to speak out about the judge?
Yeah, in the United States of America, we have something called the Constitution, and we have the First Amendment and the Sixth Amendment and the 14th Amendment. And if there's anyone on the planet who should have the constitutional right to speak out against the judge, the prosecutor, their staffs, the witnesses, their biases, the process, it is a criminal defendant going through the criminal process. You don't gag criminal defendants in America. I don't know what you guys do in the United Kingdom, but in America, we have constitutional rights, and they've turned the Constitution on its head by gagging a criminal defendant, while this judge, whose adult daughter, Lauren Michon, is raising millions of dollars off of this case, requiring her recusal under New York statute, is allowing Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen. Stormy Daniels, a porn star who's raising money off this trial on her Penn Twitter profile, on her Penn tweet on Twitter, on X. And you have Michael Cohen, who's a disbarred attorney and a convicted perjurer, raising money on TikTok. And now you just had this bimbo porn star say that President Trump... I think
calling a bimbo porn star is pretty offensive.
All right, so that was a clip from the BBC interviewing our next guest, Mike Davis, who has been out day and night relentlessly trying to help people understand what's happening in that courtroom in New York City with Donald Trump and Mike Cohen and Stormy Daniels and Judge Mercheron and all of the rest of the actors. And Mike is the founder of and president of Article 3 Project. It's called A3P. You've heard him with me before, and of course you've heard him in a lot of other places too, because he truly is, spending himself on this defense, not officially, but unofficially. Mike, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me, Sandy.
So had you been on BBC before?
I have not been on the BBC before, and after that interview, I imagine I'll never be on the BBC again.
I was when I was in D.C. as president of Concerned Women for America. I did a lot of I was doing a lot of media then, and I was on with BBC, and they did the same thing to me. They are ruthless. I mean, we just played a tiny bit of that, but you did. I loved what you did. You gave her so much information, and she could not stop you, and so I love that, Mike. So congratulations to you. I think you did a great job on that. All right, so Michael Cohen is on the stand for the second day. Now, we're in real time now with you and I talking. That's what's happening. People will hear this later. But there is a headline from the Washington Examiner this morning reporting, Michael Cohen provides strongest boost to Bragg's case so far. Do you agree with that? Is this the best day yet? Is he really nailing it?
What a joke. I mean, Alvin Bragg doesn't have a case against President Trump because it is not illegal for a businessman to settle a nuisance claim, and it is certainly not a bookkeeping misdemeanor to put that settlement of a nuisance claim in your private books as a legal expense. I've been a lawyer for nearly 20 years. I've settled many nuisance claims with non-disclosure agreements, hush money as you would call it, for business people who just want these silly claims to go away. I don't know how else you would book it in your books other than a legal expense. And then they booked this expense in 2017, but somehow that booking of the expense in 2017 was a campaign finance violation because it somehow affected the election in 2016. This is such a stupid legal theory that the prior Manhattan DA, the Manhattan U.S. Attorney, the Federal Election Commission, and Alvin Bragg himself, the Soros-funded Manhattan DA, Alvin Bragg himself, who campaigned on getting Trump, didn't bring this case. It wasn't until Matthew Colangelo got deployed from the Biden Justice Department, a senior political appointee, the number 3 in the Biden Justice Department, to resurrect this zombie case. And we are in, week 4 of this unprecedented trial of a former president who happens to be the leading presidential candidate. There before this Democrat Manhattan judge, Juan Merchan, whose adult daughter is raising millions of dollars off of this case, requiring Judge Merchan's recusal under New York statute. That's not just crazy Mike Davis saying that. A former federal Clinton judge from New York went on Caitlin Collins' show on April 5th on CNN and said that Judge Merchan has to recuse because Lauren Merchan, his daughter, is a Democrat fundraiser who's raising money off of that trial, creating a clear conflict of interest. How does Judge Merchan respond? He puts an illegal, unconstitutional gag order on Trump. So Trump can't mention Lauren Merchan. Trump can't mention Matthew Colangelo. Trump can't mention Stormy Daniels, this porn star who's changed her story several times and is peddling her porn site on Twitter. Trump can't mention Michael Cohen, this barred attorney, this serial perjurer, this convicted felon who's changed his story several times, who's peddling his book, who is selling his diatribes against Trump on TikTok, who has an axe to grind because he's mad Trump didn't bring him into the Trump White House when Trump won. I mean, Trump can't say any of this, or he goes to prison under this unconstitutional gag order. This is a circus in New York City. Unfortunately, the American people are waking up to this, and Democrats are in panic.
Well, Michael Cohen, I wish I had a clip of it, but he is on TikTok saying a lot of things, laughing, wearing costumes. One of the costumes that he has been wearing is a T-shirt with President Trump shown behind bars on his T-shirt. I think he's actually selling those. I'm not sure, but he comes to court in his suit, very sophisticated. But on that mic, he really reveals, I think, his character more than maybe his lies. Now, here's the thing. You're talking about a gag order, so President Trump can't say anything. He's been fined, thousands of dollars a day if he speaks about anything regarding the trial. And the last threat that I heard was Merchan was going to send him to prison or to jail, whichever, for saying anything publicly. Yet, Michael Cohen is saying that Trump needs to be in prison. He's saying all of these things. And that was brought to the judge's attention. And what was Judge Merchan's reaction? I don't know what the words are, but it wasn't a gag order.
Yeah, what's unbelievable about this, Sandy, is gag orders are supposed to protect criminal defendants. They are a limited time, place, and manner restriction on Americans' First Amendment rights for a limited amount of time during a criminal trial to make sure a criminal defendant gets his constitutional rights to due process and a fair trial. You do not gag criminal defendants. If there's anyone on the planet who must have the constitutional right to speak out against the judge, the prosecutor, their staffs, the witnesses, the process, their biases, it is a criminal defendant. If the criminal defendant is truly obstructing justice by threatening witnesses or the judge, doxing them, having protests outside of their homes like the Democrats did to the Supreme Court justices, you can charge them. You can charge that defendant with obstruction of justice or witness tampering, but to put this illegal prior restraint, unconstitutional prior restraint on his First Amendment rights and his Sixth Amendment rights and his 14th Amendment rights is un-American. This unconstitutional gag order is a sword of Damocles over President Trump's head. He can't even mention the name or even share a news article mentioning the name of Matthew Colangelo or Lauren Merchan or Michael Cohen or Stormy Daniels. Trump can't even say that the Manhattan jury pool voted 87% for Joe Biden. If Trump says any of those five things, this corrupt judge, Merchan, has threatened to put Trump in prison. This is a kangaroo court. This is a show trial. These are republic-ending tactics by these Biden Democrats.
Yes, I was in a briefing last week, Mike, and someone that you would trust, and I do too, said that the plan is, what he's hearing is that the plan is from this judge and from the people, the thinkers behind him, that they'd like for him to go to prison. And if that should happen, if Trump should break this gag order and should say something and they can put him in jail or prison, that the judge will declare that because he's a convicted felon, he doesn't deserve Secret Service protection, remove it and place him in prison. That's what I was told is the plan if that should happen. I don't know if you've heard that, but I just want people to understand how serious this is. This is not antics in the courtroom. People, media outlets cover those things all the time, and it's great entertainment, whether it's, some killer or whatever, some sexy story. This is a real life tragedy. This man is the candidate for president for this country, and this country is in an upheaval, and this is what this judge and the people behind him are trying to do. So, Mike, let's talk about Stormy.
Yeah, that's what we've been warning about on your show and many other shows from the Article 3 Project for the last 22 months since Biden's unprecedented raid on Trump for presidential records that Trump is allowed to have under the Presidential Records Act. We have 4 criminal indictments. We are at week 4 of this unprecedented trial, and there's no question these Biden Democrats want to put President Trump in prison because they fear American voters on November 5th, 2024. This is deadly serious, as you said.
Greg Kelly has been doing a great job on Newsmax of covering this. He has a unique approach that I really enjoy. He was sort of tracking, he was in the courtroom the day that Stormy, or at least one of the days, I think both of them, that Stormy Daniels testified. And he itemized all the contradictions and the lies. Now look, people listening, and we'll go back to the baseline in just a second, would say, well, I would say Trump was a billionaire playboy. This is 2006 when this supposedly happened. He says he didn't sleep with her, but even if he did, that's not what this trial is about. And no one ever talks, Mike, at least not in the mainstream media, about the baseness of selling. Stormy was going to sell her story to the National Enquirer, all about her salacious, affair with Donald Trump. And this happened in 2006. He's running for president, and I'm sure that, the sniffers view this as a way to kill his nomination. And so Stormy Daniels, on her trial, lied about so many things, couldn't remember. She's told the story so many times and contradicted her so much that even Bill Maher is saying, that's not what she told me when I interviewed her. I mean, I think that, for the left, that should be incrimination enough for her as a witness. But your thoughts about her testimony?
Stormy Daniels her testimony was largely irrelevant and highly unfairly prejudicial under Rule 401 and the Rule 401 and 403 analysis under the rules of evidence. I mean, it's not a crime for a businessman to settle a nuisance claim, and no one thinks that we're electing St. Donald of Manhattan when we elect him the president of the United States. People have known about Donald Trump and his past with women for the last 50 years, right? It's not been a secret. So the fact that even if he paid a settlement, even if he paid the settlement to Stormy Daniels to make her nuisance claim go away, it's not a crime. It is. Look, we are in week 4 of this criminal trial, and Alvin Bragg and Matthew Colangelo and Judge Juan Merchan, these corrupt Democrats, have refused to tell President Trump what the legal allegations are against him, meaning Trump does not know what law he broke, and so he does not know how to defend himself in week 4 of this unprecedented trial.
Let me just read, this is from the Examiner this morning. It says, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg charged Trump with 34 counts of falsifying business records, alleging that Trump hid the reimbursement and that he did so with intent to defraud and intent to commit another crime and aid and conceal the commission thereof. So that's how, and I'm sure that what you're speaking about, 34 counts.
That's the problem, Sadie. What's the other crime? They're not telling
them. Yeah, exactly.
They're not telling them what the other crime is.
Right. And would you say, as an attorney that you described nearly 20 years here, that it's pretty common for men who are wealthy and have a high profile, maybe in media, sports, to have frivolous lawsuits filed against them in order to get money to threatening to tell stories that may or may not be true, and they get paid so that they will be quiet because it's going to hurt family or whatever. Is that pretty common, or is Donald Trump the only man on the planet that has this happen?
This is very common for wealthy people. I've been a lawyer for 20 years. I've done many of these settlements of nuisance claims with non-disclosure agreements, hush money as you call it. it's the cost of doing business when you're a high-profile, wealthy business person, right? And it happens. It's unseemly, but it's not illegal by any stretch of the imagination. Otherwise, it seems like every businessman in America would be in prison if they used this legal theory against them.
Yeah. Well, let me reiterate what you said, but in layman's language. The case that's being tried in New York is not about whether Donald Trump had sex with a porn star named Stormy Daniels in 2006. It's not about that, and yet that's what they're parading Stormy Daniels over there so that the people in the jury will be repulsed and will further hate Donald Trump and convict him. The case is about the payment to her, the alleged payment to her, allegedly, so that she would not sell her story to National Enquirer before the 2016 election. One of the things that Michael Cohen said yesterday, Mike, and I wish I could find the direct quote, but he said that it wasn't about Melania or his family. It was about him trying to save his neck in the election. I think Michael has actually contradicted himself, but tell me what you know about what we could know about Trump and his concern about his family over this.
Look, the prosecutors, and this is how we can wrap this up, the prosecutors are trying to allege that Trump only did this because he was running for president. Well, Trump's done this, according to this testimony, several times in the past, including when he was not running for president. So I imagine his goal is to protect his reputation in the world, his image in the world, to protect his business reputation and to protect his reputation with his family. And that happens all the time, and that's not a crime.
All right, Mike, I know you have other commitments, and I appreciate your time every time you join us. Again, founder and president of A3P, that's the Article 3 Project. Is there anything that we need to know or ways that people could help you, Mike?
Yeah, article3project.org. You can go there, article number 3project.org. There is a button on there to take action. And let's get your listeners to take action by going to Congressman Andrew Clyde's appropriations writers. Contact both of your home state senators and your U.S. House representative and tell them to defund this Democrat lawfare against President Trump before the election. If they want to put him on trial, they waited 30 months to bring these cases, 7 years with Alvin Bragg's case. They could wait till after the election. In the meantime, the American people, not these Democrat prosecutors and judges and witnesses and operatives in these Democrat hellholes of Washington, D.C., Atlanta, and New York to decide the election. The American people get to decide. And so thank you very much, Sandy.
Yeah, you're welcome. Article3project.org, and I'm